Hello, hello. Owen Chambers, Managing Director at The Professional Builder. That is our logo there. And that there is my business partner, Mr. Marty Amos. This workshop today is on planning to win, making sure we build a business by design, not by default. You see, when the business is built by default, it just happens to happen that way, we often end up building ourselves a prison. It's a busy job with overheads, risk, and liability, not a business that gives you more time and more money, not an asset that provides for you. Instead, you burning the candle at both ends, you providing for it. So let's plan to win today. We're going to get through stuff at pace. Let's get into it. So to start with, pop quiz. Did you start your business to make more money? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Fantastic. If you're in this for the money, you're in the right place. Or did you start your business to have more time with your family? Nothing wrong with that either. If that's why you're here, you're also in the right place. Perhaps you want both of these things. Fantastic. What that means to me is that you just want an asset that is a business that provides you with both these things and is not a busy job with overheads, but spits off the profit that you require for the lifestyle that you want and gives you the time flexibility that you desire to have the life that you want. So to establish this and to build your business by design, we're going to cover three key things today. We're going to identify your number. We're going to build a profit plan. We're going to identify the processes and systems that you require in your company. And then we're going to work out how you enroll the team to put them onto the same page or work out who the next person you need to hire is and when you can afford them against your cash flow forecast. Plus, I've got a bit of a bonus, 5 of the primary reasons, the pitfalls, and the opportunities that most people fall into when they're looking to grow their business and how you can avoid those. So who are we and what do we do? Well, this is my business partner, Marty Amos. He's been coaching custom residential building company owners since 2004. We've worked with over 3,100 of them, and he literally wrote the book on this. It took him 2.5 years to distill down 21 years worth of learnings and lessons into a 100-odd page book that you can pick up at any point and read any chapter that applies to you, whether it's numbers and pricing, team and systems, or sales and marketing. It's a bestseller in 3 categories. We're very proud of it. It's got a lot of press, and it's yours if you head to the website and check it out. But here's what we do in a nutshell. We're not here to tell you what success looks like. That's up to you. We're here to help you achieve your idea of success by bridging a time gap and bridging a knowledge gap. You either don't know what you don't know, you've been taught how to be a great builder, but not yet how to be a great business owner, or you just want to bridge the time gap. You want to put these systems and processes in place over the next 12 to 18 months instead of the next 36 to 48 months. So we help you go from busy builder, burning the candle at both ends, rolling up your sleeves and saying, that's my job, to the business owner who solves problems via people and via process. Write that down. A business owner solves problems via people and via process. To eventually your idea of investor or entrepreneur, your idea of success, whether that's a $2 million building company or a $25 million building company. If we were to not customize the playbooks in any particular way for your unique situation, we would start at the bottom here and work our way to the top. We'd start by setting a really clear vision for the company that you want to build. How many hours do you want to work? What profit do you want to draw? What role do you want to play? What projects do you want to do? What contracts do you want to operate on? What margins do you need to have to achieve your profit drawings? How far out of town will you travel? How many crews will you have? What positions will you have running those sites? What team and infrastructure we have in the office? We want to paint what's called a business maturity date, your idea of success over the next 3 to 5 years. And then we go about building that by focusing on the cash flow margin and profitability, plugging the holes in the bucket, because you can't grow or scale chaos, lack of profits, or low margins. Once the holes in the bucket have been plugged up, we can turn on the taps. Sales and marketing, making sure that you fill the pipeline with the right kind of work that you actually want more of. And then operational excellence, systems and processes. Systems run the business and people run those systems. That's extreme ownership here. Extreme ownership, the people that run those systems. So that's what we do in a nutshell. We help our members build true wealth. That's more time and more money. And it normally shows up like this. More time, working fewer hours in your ideal role. I don't know many building company owners that were put on this earth to reconcile accounts, send emails, and deal with clients at 9 p.m. on a Sunday or on a Friday afternoon. We want to make sure that you have a good work-life balance. Heaven forbid you pick up the sticks and pick up a hobby again, get out on the bike, go for a swim, go surfing, go play some more golf, or just hang out with your family. And we want to make sure that you have an exit plan. Now, this might not be an exit plan from the entire company, although we work with many members on putting succession plans in place, structuring buy-ins with key team members, and getting them out of the day-to-day operations of the entire business. But this could also be an exit plan from getting off the tools, getting out of sight, getting off the field, getting out of estimating bids and pricing, or maybe getting out of emails and admin, or getting out of client-facing activities. It's up to you. We want to make sure that you operate in the part of the business that you desire to be in the most. This is your business, and you are the owner. We want to build the business by design, not by default. We want to make sure that you make good money as well. So you're paid a really good operator's salary for the work that you do in the company, but you're also got good gross profit so that you can hire and retain the best people. We want to make sure that you have good net profit so that you can run multiple businesses if you want to, or so that you can do some developments and some spec builds as well, and you can fund those. Like I said before, we're not in the business of telling you what success looks like. For some of our members, like Rudy, like Brendan, success looks like running multiple companies under one umbrella. We've got members that run 2, 3, sometimes 4 businesses under the same umbrella. In this example on screen, Brendan from Next Level Construct, once he got that working well, he started Next Level Joinery. Then he started Next Level Commercial. Rudy in Austin, Texas, has 4 companies under the Atlas Homes umbrella, from framing and fencing right through to custom home and commercial. But these are the results that you should expect if you're violently going to execute systems that we're going to cover today. On average, our members achieve with us over a 13-month period an increase in their margins by 5.5%, adding an extra $217,000 to their gross profit. They charge for their quotes, in a world where everyone gives free quotes, at $3,000 each, and they've reduced their working hours by, on average, 12 hours a week. Now, these are averages, meaning many do much better. These are also from 2024, and we're very close to due having our Spotify Wrapped results coming back to us so that we can update these stats. So, we're here to bridge a knowledge gap, we're here to bridge a time gap. Write down, would you benefit from a bridge of the knowledge gap or bridge of the time gap? You don't know what you don't know. You've been taught how to be a great builder, but not yet how to be a great business owner, or you want to bridge the time gap. You want to install these systems and processes faster and do them in the next 12 to 18 months instead of the next 36 to 48 months. We work with members across the builder's ladder, from the startup and survival phase all the way through to the success phase. And there are systems at each level that you are required to install so that you earn the right to grow. We're going to be covering this a little bit later. But we've worked with members across East Coast to West Coast in every single state, other than South Dakota and North Dakota at the moment, and across New Zealand and Australia. We host workshops in all of these regions, and all of our members have similar patterns because they are custom residential business owners. So these are the patterns that we see, and this is where I want to start. These are the 5 biggest mistakes holding back profitability, or the biggest opportunities holding back profitability. Now, the first is not setting a business maturity date. Setting a really clear vision for the business that you're building. Like I said before, turnover, net profit, number of jobs, days off a week, holidays a year, and gross profit. We want to identify who you need to hire and in what order, whether it's office management, quantity surveyor or estimator, marketing person, project manager, site manager, BDM. We need to identify what positions you want to get out of and in what order, so we can understand what systems we need to install in what order and which ones are most critical if you were to go away. Not setting a business maturity date is issue or opportunity number 1. We need to understand the business that we're trying to build, because the systems that are required to build a $25 million company are different to the systems required to build a $3-5 million company. So if you've got the worksheet with you, now's the time to pause and do exercise number 1 here. Opportunity number 2 is trying to scale a lack of profits. Low profits mean poor cash flow, they mean stress, they mean a lot of leakage, and you having to do a lot of revenue to make your target profit goals. We're going to be doing an exercise in just a moment to work through your minimum margins and to identify the key number that you want to work towards. But this is opportunity number 2, trying to grow and scale low margins, lack of profit, and poor cash flow. Ultimately, numbers reveal the truth. And this is why every single month with our members, we track their gross margin, their overheads, their net profit, their liquidity ratios, their work in progress, so that we can see the story and understand what is required. And we fix the business based on the numbers, not based on our best guess or what we feel like this month. All right, the next opportunity that most people have to tackle is them wearing all the hats. If you spend all day putting out fires, you get pulled back onto site. If you're struggling to find time for strategic growth, to work on and above the business rather than down and in the company, if all the phone calls come via your phone, then you've got a problem. We need to take the hats off your head and find the right systems and then the right people, the systems that run the business and people that run those systems. So that you're able to take a holiday, you're able to step back from the business, see the forest from the trees, and build a business and put yourself into the seat of general manager, director, sales manager, finance, or whatever seat you actually want to sit in. The next big opportunity that we see is most people trying to reinvent the wheel. Now, what do we mean by this? Well, who here has spent 3-4 weeks trying to build a system, hand it over to the crew or to the office manager, or file it away somewhere, only to then either forget about it or inspect the team a couple of weeks later and to find that, hey, they haven't been following it and they're not even using it. You spent all this energy and effort on building the thing and inventing the system when most of your energy and effort should have been on holding high standards, inspecting your expectations, and on running the system. Instead, what we want you to do is take what's already working for thousands of successful building companies that have been before you and apply it to your unique situation. We've spent the last 2 decades distilling down all the playbooks that work for custom residential business owners, putting them into a roadmap so that you can swipe deploy and put them into your business faster. The next big opportunity is working on the wrong thing. You see, most of the business owners that we work with are hard workers. They haven't got to the position that they're in by being lazy, but often they're stalled out because they're working hard on the wrong thing. Maybe their margin is too low and they're trying to grow and scale it. Maybe their sales conversion rate is too low. They're trying to do more leads when actually they don't need more leads, they need more conversions into contracts. Maybe they're working really hard, but their average contract size is too small and they need to increase their contract size so they do fewer jobs, fewer clients, fewer picking up and dropping off of materials, fewer change orders and variations, fewer contracts to hit their target revenue goal and therefore their target profit goal. We want to identify so that you can work harder on smarter things. So, I've got a lot of time today, but not a heap amount of time. On average, we work with our members for 2.5 years. And that's because that's how long it takes to install these systems so they repeat and recur, and so that you can achieve the same results over multiple projects, over multiple years, even when people graduate from working with us. But I've only got a couple of minutes, so we better get into it. Part 1, plan for profit. This is exercise number 2 that you need to do on the worksheet. Tell me, what is the tale of two builders? Which business would you prefer to own and operate? You can see here the difference. They both make the same financial outcome, but one does $4.7 million, while the other does $3.6 million. Now, I don't do public math, but that's more than $1 million in required revenue difference, yet they both make the same financial outcome. One has to do 31 projects a year, while the other has to do 7 projects a year. That's a completely different crew setup and staffing setup. One has to quote 63 jobs a year, while the other has to quote 15 jobs a year. One has to build a marketing machine that delivers 6.3 leads every single month, working on a 10-month year because Christmas, New Year, and a holiday. And one has to deliver 2 leads a month. Which business would you prefer to own and operate? So the levers that you have available in your business, and this is working smarter, or working harder on smarter things, I should say, is the lever of your gross margin, the lever of your average contract size, and the lever of your sales conversion rate. You can see that even though the sales conversion rate is the same, for every 2 quotes submitted, we close 1. But because the average contract size is so much smaller, they need to quote far more work and deliver more leads to do more jobs to hit more revenue. You are working harder than business B because your margin is lower and your contract size is lower. We want to identify, based on the business that you want to build, what lever do you need to change most? Is it your margin, your contract size, your sales conversion rate? So as you can see, these 2 levers have an implication of over $1 million in extra required revenue to hit your target turnover, to hit your target profit goal. And crikey, I don't do public math, but that's like 20 something extra projects. That's a lot of extra clients, a lot of extra contracts, a lot of extra change orders and variations, a lot of extra picking up and dropping off of materials, a lot of extra team, leave, timesheets, and everything that comes with it. So if you're trying hard and getting the same result, you might not be lacking hard work, you might be just lacking working on the smarter thing. We need to identify this in your business. You see, with Justin, it was his margin. Once we fixed that and then filled his pipeline up with the right kind of work, he went from losing money to clearing his debt and making money. We didn't have to increase his overheads. We didn't spend money to make money, but he was finally able to pay himself a reasonable professional builder's rate, or a PBR. Or let's take Brent, for example. His top line only increased by $300,000, but that dropped entirely to his bottom line. Not because he spent money to make money, his overheads stayed compressed, but because he fixed his margin as well, from 13.5% to 24%. Now with Brent, we had to get rid of a foreman, hire a new one. We had to then make sure that he used the appropriate project management software for his types of projects. We had to get out of some architectural contracts with horrible fishhooks and retentions in the contracts. That meant we had to rebuild his marketing pipeline so he wasn't relying exclusively on architects. We had to then go through his whole sales process, and we introduced the WOW information pack as well as the presentation quote as an action plan. We then managed to afford him an office administrator to buy him back some time in the office. And more recently, we've been able to install a contracts administrator, or a contracts manager, I should really say, to take care of some of the more higher level contracts management tasks to buy him back even more time. Now, I don't know about you, but every $300,000 helps. And that's given Brent a $300,000 pay rise in 12 months. So if you know the lever to pull and push to get the biggest result, then we need to pull and push and spend most of our time on that lever. You look at this projection, for example. Both businesses make $800,000 in gross profit, except one has to turn over $210,000 more or do revenues of an extra $210,000 more to hit this gross profit goal. So what does 1% mean to you? There's a resource available for download. It is this dashboard here. Plug your numbers into the dashboard to identify your biggest levers and then work out how we can improve margin. There are normally immediately 8 ways that we can improve margin. Pricing, positioning, sales and marketing, labor, material, subcontractors, that's gone over 2 lines, apologies for that, and variations or change orders. Work out what is the biggest lever for your situation. Is it pricing? Is it positioning? Is it sales? Is it marketing? Marketing means that we can pick and choose from more leads. Sales means that we introduce variables other than price, timeline, budget, trustworthiness, quality, and communication. Who are you? Who's your team? How can I trust you? And how can you help me specifically? Positioning, are we positioned for the right kind of work? Are we positioned for commercial work? Are we the cheapest builder? And pricing. Fastest way to a result is to price the job better higher. Margin. Not always the easiest way to get there, but it is the quickest route to success. Labor. Are we controlling labor or are there expensive blowouts? Materials. Is there a purchase order process in place or do we have a lot of wastage? Subcontractors. Is there a clear handover process or are there expensive callbacks for everybody involved? Do we know and understand what's in the budget or do we not understand what constitutes a variation or change order and we're giving these away for free or failing to invoice them in appropriate time and it's killing our cash flow? So, step number 1, we want to plan for profit. What is your profit figure that you want to work towards and what will achieving it mean to you? Are you trying to achieve a $800,000 gross profit goal so that you can hire this person and take out this profit? Are you achieving a $2 million gross profit goal so that you can net $1 million and run the business on $1 million? I don't have a horse in the race, but I do need you to understand and to identify your number now. What is your profit figure we want to work towards and we want to build the business around? We want to plan for profit. And then answer this question because you're going to have to put the work in to achieve this. What will achieving this actually mean for you? Will it mean that you can pay down a mortgage, pay off some debt, go on a holiday, retire your partner? Will it mean that you can do some developments and some spec builds? Will it mean that you can hire and retain great talent? Will it mean you can finally start paying yourself what you deserve? Write down what achieving this number will mean to you. Now, there's many other ways that we can improve profitability. In fact, there are 151 ways that we can improve profit on existing projects. There's a checklist. I'd like you to go through it. It's available for download today. Go through it at the end. But you're probably wondering, hey, how do I charge an extra margin point on my projects coming into a job? How can I improve my margin from, say, 19 to 20% before the project starts? Because there were 4 levers to that: pricing, positioning, sales, and marketing. The 4 levers on the back end, maybe you're going in at 20% but coming out at 19, are controlling labor, materials, subtrades, and variations and change orders. But let's find 1% on the front end now. So there are 10 marketing strategies. If we installed all of them, heck, we would get more leads to pick and choose from, and we might be in a position to raise our margin by 1 margin point per marketing strategy that we install. That's 1 margin point. There are 10 sales steps. We might be able to improve our win probability on our sales process by, again, 0.1 of a percentage point if we install each of these steps into the sales process. Because each time we involve a micro commitment, we increase the win probability of closing a contract. More steps, more opportunity to improve our margin. Because each step introduces a variable other than price. It addresses the 4 questions and the 5 concerns. Who are you? Who's your team? How can I trust you? How can you help me specifically? I got concerns around timeline, budget, trustworthiness, quality, and communication. So these are 20 exercises that we could do to improve our margins by just 1%. But today I want to focus on your wow pack and your presentation of quote as an action plan. So, as I've said, getting our marketing right and getting our sales process right is really about getting the clarity of communication right and the presentation around these 4 questions and around these 5 concerns. Now, sales become easy when marketing does the heavy lifting. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, marketing doing the heavy lifting looks like a wow pack sent prior to a site visit. It arrives before you arrive, so it takes the prospect from cold to pre-sold, so that when you arrive for your site visit, your job is to take them from pre-sold to sold on your preliminary service agreement. Now, your wow pack, it's a glossy magazine like these examples on screen. These are members who have used the template, versioned it for themselves, and put this info pack in place. It's couriered out to the prospect or the lead prior to your site visit for ones that you actually want to close. Here's an example of one of our members, Simon. For leads that are below $100,000, they get the glossy magazine here. For leads that are above $100,000, they get a beautiful box that goes out, laser engraved with the project's address and project on the cover. You can see how using something like this would help you protect your margin at sales process point by 1%, or maybe even position you and help you improve your margin by 1%. Now, the reason I share this is because it's about working harder on smarter things. For Simon, he was already killing it with his gross margin and his net profit, but his conversion rate was too low, 15%. That means for every 10 jobs that he quoted, he only secured 1.5 of them. Fast forward and implementing this wow box, this wow pack, and he closes a conversion rate of 60%. Plus his gross profit has gone up to 44% and his net profit to 24%. This is an example of working harder on smarter things. He now has to quote fewer jobs. He's increased his average contract size of those jobs because he's positioned himself incredibly professionally to hit his target revenue and therefore his target profitability. So that's the Wow Info Pack. Let me now show you a presentation of quote as an action plan. This allows you to charge for your quotes. It introduces variables other than price. It allows you to have a process for you to present your quote so that if you go on holiday or you take a step back, you don't rely on somebody else having the gift of the gab. So one of our specialty coaches is Richard Fiske. He runs Dimension Building. In fact, he's got now 3 locations, a team of over 55. He's winning multiple Master Builder of the Year awards. He's a savage. And he versioned the template of the presentation of quotes and action plan into an example just like this. Let me walk you through it. So what it looks like is 3 sections. Section 1 is the beginning, which does who are you, who's your team, how can I trust you, how can you help me specifically. The middle section is the breakdown of the project, and the last section is closing out the contract. Let me show you. Meet Richard, what makes us different? It gives us the quote and the price. It then goes through the sections and the concerns people have around timeline, budget, trustworthiness, quality, and communication. So it introduces their guarantee. It introduces the team. It introduces the payment claims, the change orders, and the weekly meeting. The selections, the monthly financial, and the software being used for communication across the company. This then breaks down the project by stage. Now, if you're doing small jobs, I still recommend that you present the quote in person, tangibly, and we print it just like this, and we bind it just like this, but instead of it being 63 pages long, it might be 6 pages long. We should still avoid comparing apples with oranges and try to compete away from price as much as possible by presenting the quote in person as an action plan. If you've got a really big, massive project, then maybe 60 pages is fantastic. This final third then gets into, again, differentiating ourselves and not being in a position where we compare apples with apples. Online project management and construction schedule, their awards, and maybe you've won an award or you've got Team of the Year awards. Okay, helps that these guys have won many, many awards, but you would have your House of the Year or your project or fan favorite awards. It then goes through our responsibilities, your responsibilities, how long the quote is valid for, and the next step required to secure their place in the build schedule. Deposit needs to be paid, contract needs to be signed by this date to secure your place in the build schedule for next year. Now, instead of you being amazing at sales, this helps one of your team walk through page by page so that you're in a position to go on holiday or buy some time back or not be indispensable and not have this business not make any sales when you are not there. Now, again, this goal, this template, this business system is all about allowing you to protect your margin by 1% or improve your margin by 1%. Let's take Nate, for example, who's managed to take this to a whole nother stratospheric level. He actually 3D prints the home as part of his presentation of quote as an action plan. This allows him to stand apart from his competition and gives an absolute wow moment for his clients. Being surrounded by absolute weapons and people that were ahead of him in business gave him the confidence to go from builder to business owner. It gave him the confidence to actually put the right systems and processes in place and to extend his level of thinking. Or Hayden, for example, who worked on the TBB 10-step sales process, extended the first 5 steps out to the first 10 steps, as you can see here, and went from working at really low margins to 33% markups, only being on site Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, and securing $4.1 million worth of work in the pipeline, with 3 of those projects paying him $3,000 each for his preliminary budget proposal. Or like Rudy, who I mentioned before, because he runs multiple companies under his brand and is making sure that systems run each of those businesses, and then he finds the right people to run those systems. Or Jeremy, who within 3 months has managed to hire a lead carpenter and lead apprentice, has managed to improve his gross profit margins to 23.8%, and is managing to run 2 concurrent jobs that is fueling the profit growth. Or like Leon, who took this exact system, the presentation of quote as an action plan, and went from having markup at 10 to 12% and spending 30 hours plus quoting jobs for free, to converting 7 from 7 projects at 20% plus margins and charging $3,500 for each of the quotes. He took that money that he generated from charging for these quotes and he put it towards funding somebody to help him quote, so that he wasn't doing all the work himself. And instead, he played the role of director, checking the quotes, making sure that everything was included. Now, Richard, who I shared the example of before, he's actually a specialty coach on our team. We've got a team of 45 coaches across the company, and many of them, or some of them, are specialty coaches. They're graduates of the program. They're very successful business owners in their own right, and they do trainings. This is an example of one of his trainings about how he grew his team and scaled to over $10 million in revenue by implementing the right systems and structures for each position required. So I don't want you to look at what I've covered so far and say, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. That's what a busy builder thinks, because busy builders roll up their sleeves, they become the best employees, and they get stuff done. A business owner solves problems via people and process. I want you to instead say, how could I possibly lose? How could I lose 1% margin? Or how could I not improve my margins by just 1% if I had these systems in my company? Applying the info pack and the sale and the presentation of quote as an action plan, do you believe that you can improve your margin or get towards your profit goal faster with these in place? Let's hit part 2. Let's find the right systems and processes for your business. So if you're like many business owners, you're wearing all the hats in the company. Cash flow, pricing, site operations, project management, tax, leadership, sales, office operations, marketing, training, suppliers, recruiting, sub-trade management. The bottleneck in the business is often at the top of the company. It's the owner. And what we want to work out is, how do we get these off your plate? It's not a badge of honor to be burning the candle at both ends, taking all the risk and burning out, but not getting paid first, sometimes not getting paid at all. Remember, business owners solve problems via people and via process, not by rolling up their sleeves and working harder. So let's identify the processes required in your company, and then we can identify the people that need to run them. It's like Alvin, for example. He took a 6-week holiday in Europe, and while he was away, Emily, his office manager, was making a sale and negotiating an upsell on a second. He did this because he has a system in place, very similar to the sales process I showed you before, but ultimately it stemmed back to an A to Z of operations and identifying the things that would stop working or fail to happen if he took time away from the company for 6 weeks in Europe, for example. Green light on an A to Z of operations means there is a person in place and there is a process. You can show me the process, the checklist, the phone script, the pricing for profit method, and you can show me the person that's not you. Orange means we have one but not the other. We might have an office manager, but heavens knows how they do their job. We might have a site manager or foreman, but heaven forbid they get hit by the proverbial bus. We would go down. It's not good. Red light, we have no person and no process. It lives up in our brain and at our fingertips. What we want to do is we want to go through an A to Z of operations for your business. Marketing, sales, pricing for profit, contract signing checklist, site setup checklist, purchase orders, material orders, timesheets, daily stand-ups, weekly toolbox meeting, weekly wrap with the clients, variations process, invoicing, data management, you name it, all these steps through a business. Red light, orange light, green light. Red light, no system, no process, no person. Orange light, one but not the other. Green light, person and process. We want to put a red light next to them, an orange light next to them, or a green light next to them. This is the next exercise on your worksheet. Go through that now. Once you've finished that, we now want to bridge it across and find the playbooks that will be most relevant to your situation and make sure that those come into your game plan. So I appreciate that we're moving at pace here, but to plan to win, we first need to identify the outcome you want to get in terms of your profitability. What's your number? The next, we want to identify the processes you need. A to Z of operations, the red light systems that are required that will buy you back the most time, and therefore we can build a job description for the next person that we hire. We now know what tasks they're going to come along and do. What systems are missing from your company and what people are missing to run those systems. So you know where you're heading, but do your team. If you've got a company, you now need to enroll them in the direction that you are going towards. This is part 3, sharing your plan with your team. Pulling together this into a one-page plan by answering some of these questions and doing some of these exercises. But additionally, going through and presenting to them as part of a meeting, the same page plan. Now, this is a bonus resource that is available for download, and it's broken. It's a PowerPoint presentation broken into 3 stages. What have we achieved in the last 12 months? Where are we at today? And where are we going? We want to acknowledge milestones and highlights, testimonials and feedbacks, new team that have joined us, and the growth that we've had. We might include some interesting stats. We then go through the recognition of awards. We want to spotlight how people have demonstrated the values and upheld the standards that we want to see more of. And then we explain where we're going. the new expectations that are required from the company, the new standards that we're going to need to set so that you are in a position to step out of the day-to-day of the business and onto working on and above the company, above the A to Z of operations. If you don't share with the team what they need to do to elevate into new positions, they will rarely elevate into that position themselves. You need to create the vacuum so that they can fill the space that you create. We want to go through future projects book, new positions that you're hiring for, let them know about referral bonuses if they bring on new team members or new projects, and then get really damn clear about the expectations that you expect to see over the next 12 months. If you want this download, go and check it out, make it, version it for your own. We've got a couple of bonus trainings on how to use it as well. But before we wrap up and land this plane, after the 3 parts you've gone through, some of the exercises, I want to ask you a question. What's it costing you? What is 1% actually worth to you? Is it $210,000 in extra required work annually? So, hopefully after today you realize that there are no silver bullets to any of this. There are no secret weapons. There's no magic. There are only lead bullets, a stacking of systems on top of each other. When we don't stack things on top, price will win. We will erode our margins away. We will not hit our profit targets, and we will not work on systems. If we're looking for a solution like the magic, no software is coming to save you. Instead, we need to stack on top of each other multiple steps, multiple A to Z systems, and understand our minimum margins, our cash flow requirements, and what is actually required to hit our profit goals, and what the implications are every time we discount or reduce our rates by 1 margin point. So, are you going to go away and take action by installing the TBV Wow Information Pack so you can take people from cold to pre-sold so you can potentially charge for your quotes? Are you going to go away and reset your minimum margins so that you can understand what you are worth to the company, so you can understand what 1% is going to mean to your business? So you can give yourself a pay rise of $300,000 just like Brent. Or you're going to implement a quote as an action plan so that you can introduce variables other than price and avoid competing on it. Are you going to go away and complete the A to Z of operations, find the red light things, the systems that are missing that would buy you back the most time if you implemented, so that systems can run the business and people can run those systems? Once you've identified the systems and you've put those red lights to orange lights by installing the systems, you can now install the people to run those systems. So I have a question before we go any further. Who has watched this and thought, I've known I've needed to do this for the last 6 weeks? Heck, many of you sitting here might have known you've needed to do this for the last 6 months. Nothing I've shared today is rocket science, game breaking. It is tried, tested, and proven. It is nothing out of the ordinary for the next couple of years and beyond. It's not some AI. It's tested, proven systems and process. So who here is sitting here and thought, yeah, by now I thought I'd have this in place in my business when I first started, but I started my business 10 years ago. It's time for action. What's it costing you knowing this but not implementing it? I've done some simple, very conservative math for you. If you pay yourself $75 an hour, very conservative for a business owner. If we buy you back 8 hours a week, that's almost $30,000 a year. If we can improve your margin from 16% to 20%, that extra 4% is worth $40,000 to you on the next $1 million. Or if we can find you a brand new project at $500,000, that new minimum margin of 20% means that there's $100,000 in gross profit there. The reason I share this with you is because small hinges swing big doors. You don't need to completely rewrite your entire business. You normally need to tweak 1 or 2 key things, work harder on smarter things to have a huge impact in your company. It's normally around your margin, your average contract size, your sales conversion rate, and your time spent to price and sell a project. It's around controlling your labor, materials, subtrades, and variations. It's around improving your pricing, your positioning, your sales, and your marketing. But I'll admit, today I have given reasonably vague 30,000-foot advice. It is not specific to your situation, and you must proceed with caution. I do not know whether you have contractors, employees, or have good cash flow, bad cash flow, you're in overdraft, you run hybrid contracts, cost plus contracts, or fixed price contracts. I do not know if you do big $3 million custom homes or smaller projects sub $50,000. I do not know if you want to retire in the next 6 months or 6 years, or whether you want to scale the business but protect your time. I don't know if you want to set up multiple businesses. Some of these aspects won't apply to you for your situation. You ultimately now have a choice though, and the choice is yours to make, is to take action or to keep doing things the old way. Running faster on the hamster wheel and expecting a different result, even though each year is a photocopy of the last. That is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So, the next step, logically, is to do this game plan or this draft of a game plan, but to pull it together with a dedicated expert, a growth advisor. Every member that we've ever worked with has started with a game plan similar to the surface level one that I've just run you through. It's how they've joined the fast track, where they haven't had to reinvent the wheel, they've been able to follow a proven process. What I've shared with you today is just the tip of the iceberg of these systems that we have ready to plug and play for your business. Okay, but here's the catch. So, to help you take this general information, your draft of a game plan, and make it uber specific to your unique situation, you need to be the owner of a residential building company. Why? Because our roadmap, our playbooks, they're all designed for custom residential building companies. Our profit mapping software, it's trained, it's inspected every single month on custom residential building companies. Our team of 45 in the member success department, they are coached, drilled, and trained on exactly these types of businesses. Our playbooks, they're built specifically for these businesses as well. So, a suitable candidate to take advantage and work one-on-one with us, just in a one-off session, to take this general plan and turn it specifically to your situation, well, you need to be the owner of a residential building company. You need to be willing to invest up to about 5 hours a week on the use and implementation of this stuff, because you ain't going to do the push-ups, you ain't going to get the six-pack. And you'll be open and coachable, trying new ideas and to being held accountable. But if that sounds like you, then these are the next steps. It's to apply for a profit pipeline audit and to do a game plan with us one-on-one. There are a couple of slots available because many of our team are working with our existing members already. But visit this link right now to make sure that you can secure your slot. What we would do is we'd start with a quick little phone call after you've chosen a time at that link. Visit that link and choose a time. Tell us a little bit about your business. We'll jump on the phone with you and we'll make sure that you're paired with the appropriate coach. We'll understand your situation. If we cannot help, we'll point you in the right direction. And if we can, we'll book a Zoom call. Prior to the Zoom call, we'll do a systems health audit. We'll identify a score out of 100. We'll identify the opportunities that you have in place. We'll identify the systems you have in place and the systems we need to put into place. We'll do a confidential review of your financials from the last 12 months. We'll identify your key golden ratios of where your numbers sit for overhead, liquidity ratios, net profit, gross profit. We'll compare it against business of a similar size. We'll keep it entirely confidential, but don't fret. We've seen the best and the worst. I bet you can't scare us. We'll plug your numbers into the dashboard to make sure that it's appropriate. We've got appropriate targets and we understand and identify the biggest lever or the biggest constraint in your business. We'll pull it all together. We'll identify $108,000 in gross profit savings somewhere so that you can improve your gross profit by $108,000, and we'll find 8 hours back in your business. Then we'll share the detailed plan with you so that you can go ahead and implement it yourself, or if you want help and you want to look at our programs at this point, we can do a program tour. We can pull the curtains back and walk you through the one that would work best for you. So the game plan objective is really simple. Find you an extra $108,000 in gross profit and win you back 1 day a week. But seriously, if all this did was get you an extra 2 leads, maybe half a day back a week, increase your margins in the next job that you price, improve your cash flow, or maybe give you a bit of a kick up the ass to say that I and my family deserve better, I'm sure you'd agree. It'd be worth exploring, right? It's entirely free and it's no obligation. So here's to your success. Here's building an excellent business that gives you more time and more money, not having a business that is a busy job with overheads. Start with a profit plan, move to a process plan, and then enroll the team so you have the right people in the right seats. Make sure you avoid the 5 common mistakes, and let's get after it. Here's to your success. We'll see you online.